Hello, in this video we will understand about the dermatitis. The dermatitis is the inflammation of the skin by several types. So, in this video we will understand about the inflammation due to the a lesion of the skin or other problem. Let's begin to understand. The atopic, for example, dermatitis is a complex and multifactorial or multifunctional involving the elements of barrier dysfunction, alteration in cell-mediated immune responses, and immunoglobulin E mediated hypersensitivity and environmental factors. Let's begin to understand first of all the skin anatomy, and then we will able to understand the immune response as well as inflammation. And let's begin to understand from the skin. Skin is the barrier immunity. Remember, after the barrier immunity, the innate immunity, then adaptive immunity will occur. This is the bacterial microbiome are present in the upper part of the skin, like the mutualistic bacteria produce defensin against the pathogen. Hair shaft and the follicle are present, and the adipose tissue are present, which that's contain adipocyte in the hypodermis, and the sebaceous gland and the sweat gland are present, the oil gland and the sweat gland. This is the blood vessel between the epidermis and hypodermis. Remember, the dermis. Dermis contain blood vessel and the nerves ending as a sensory neuron. This is the epidermis and dermis and hypodermis. The hypodermis contain adipose tissue for insulation. Let's begin to understand the epidermis first. This is the epidermis, the stratum bacilli. The stratum bacilli are present, which cells contain basal cell layer. Below the stratum bacilli, the blood vessels are present. Remember, at the upper part of the stratum bacilli, the stratum spinosum are present. This stratum spinosum is contains squamous cell layer. And the upper part of the stratum spinosum, the stratum granulosum, the granular cell layer are present. And the stratum granulosa contain keratinocytes even. And the upper part is the stratum lucidum. The stratum lucidum contain a dead cell which that is able to fill the keratin as well as basically the melanin pigment. After the stratum corneum is the horny cell layer, which that is continuously sloughing off, and the microbiota will prevent by invasion and the epidermal layers disease. Let's understand the bigger picture. This is the bigger picture. We will understand the immune response during the inflammation and the skin dermatitis. This is the stratum granulosa. The stratum granulosa and the stratum spinosum are present. These between the stratum spinosum and stratum granulosa, between this is the innate immune cell are present, and this is the upper part of the skin microbiota biota are present, like staphylococcus and the other pathogenic bacteria. This is the striatum spinosum and striatum granulosa. Between these two layers, the innate immune cell are present, like Langerhans cells. This is the specialized cell for the skin immune response. After the invasion of pathogen, the identify of this pathogen will lead to recruit further immune cell like innate immune cell as well as adaptive immune cell for increase the inflammation. Let's begin to understand. We will discuss by this. Here is water retention will be more in the healthy skin, and the exposure of structural protein will be an expression of tight junction protein is more. And whenever it will go into the lesion as well as the disease stage will lead to pH increase, susceptibility to infection and permeability will increase, altered proteolysis and altered lipids, altered microbiota and irritability. These all factors will lead to cause that skin damage. Let's understand about the non-lesional skin but the inflamed due to the infection of the keratinocyte. When keratinocyte inflamed and infected will produce the inflammatory mediator like interleukin 1 beta, 33, 25, and MDC, TARC, and TSLP. This will lead to cause inflammation and recruit the other cell like human inflammatory dendritic epidermal cell. And other cell is like Langerhans cell will identify this allergen through Fc epsilon receptor 1 will lead to also the dermal cell will recognize this antigen will lead to recruit the interleukin cell 2 interleukin C2 cell. Interleukin C2 cell basically recruit to activate, and in this way the, after the activation via a dermal cell and the Langerhans cell due to the inflammatory response will produce the interleukin 5 and 13 as well as the dermal dendritic cell after the recognition of antigen to produce OX40 ligand. And the T cell activate through OX40 ligand the T cell activation, and interleukin 2 cell will also produce the interleukin 5 and 13 will lead to recruit the eosinophil, and eosinophil will recruit will lead to more allergic reaction will increase. But on the other hand, this T cell will produce the interleukin 4 and 13 as well as the interleukin C2 cell also produce this will lead to recruit the B cell. After the B cell recruitment, the IgE antibodies, the B cell will lead to basically by the also the T cell will activate the B cell to the IgE production. So remember, this IgE production will lead to cause chronic inflammation. Remember, this T helper 22 cell will also recruit through eosinophils, and this will lead to produce interleukin 4, 13, and 31. And these T lymphocytes contain CLA and CCR4 and 10 and CRTH2, which that also recruit. But remember, forget about that things. But for the normal skin, the healthy skin, the inflammation will possible, but when inflammation will occur, the non-chronic will lead to T helper cell will activation to B cell production, will lead to IgE production by these, and this IgE will bind with the Fc receptor of the mast cell. Fc receptor of the mast cell and the antigen will be bind the specific antigen which that is invading in the skin. After the binding with the antigen, the degranulation of the occur of the mast cell. After the degranulation of mast cell will produce the histamine, and this histamine is lead to allergic reaction, will lead to more permeability of blood vessel, and loss of fluid will lead to cause edema as well as other problems, anaphylactic shock, and the swelling of the blood vessel and swelling of the face, leg, etc. On the other hand, the immune response will lead to cause allergic reaction, anaphylactic problem, and that is why the histamine allergic reaction will occur. Anyhow, I hope you make sense about this. And more permeability will lead to more and more cell movement side where the site of inflammation. Non-lesional skin lead to cause inflammatory response, and the acute lesional stage will lead to more the basically the more that cell will produce suddenly, and more keratinocyte will produce part. Remember this, the after the clearance the acute lesional stage and chronic lesional stage mean the lichenification will occur. This and variable T helpers 1 cell and T helper 17 activation, and in this way the pathogen can be invade, the allergen can be invade, and the T regulatory cell M as well as the other IDEC is the basically is the human inflammatory dendritic epidermal cell, which that will recognize this pathogen or allergen. And also the keratinocyte produce interleukin 33 and TSLP, and which that will be recognized, and the nerves which that detect the pain and swelling to pain response and the allergic response, and the inflammation. The cutaneous sensory neuron will lead to sense the inflammation, and inflammation due to the Langerhans cell will attach with the antibodies to give the response. And in this, the inflammation will be chronic. So let's begin to understand the skin allergy types. So the atopic allergy, as well as the allergic contact. On the other hand, the urticaria and the angioedema. Atopic means the dermatitis is known as the eczema, and it is on the skin where some skin have but some not. And the allergic contact means the rash where allergen touch the skin. It means the allergen will touch to produce the histamine where the allergen are present. Hives appear on the regional skin in the urticaria and develop more reaction life threatening, while the angioedema is swelling of the skin and life threatening also. So remember, it will be lead to cause histamine production, will lead to cause allergic reaction or other inflammatory mediators, will show the skin rashes and other problems. And the chronic lesional stage, which that will lead to grow more skin, but the pathogen or allergen will remain in the keratinocyte, will lead to more chronic inflammation to give the positive feedback of the WBC. Thanks for watching.